Kathleen Lights again, and they created the Zodiac collection. I was really excited when I seen this because I loved the Dream Street. That was the other palette that Colourpop collaborated with Kathleen Lights. The Dream Street is one of my OG favorites of this year. In this collection, she did a eyeshadow palette, 2 SuperShock Highlighters, 2 SuperNova Eyeshadows, and 2 Lux Lipsticks. So I have the entire set here. I'm going to go through it with you guys and let you guys know my full final thoughts on this collection. I created this really beautiful smoked out bronzy type summer look and I'm obsessed with it. I keep looking in the monitor and I'm like, dang, that looks good. I like it. I personally like Colourpop. I love how affordable they are, and I also really like their eyeshadows. I know that some people, it's kind of a hit and miss, but for me and the way that I apply eyeshadows, they just work like a dream for me. Now, I bought the entire set, which was $59. You can purchase the Dream Street and the Zodiac palette combined. This Dream Street palette, like, I have used it so much, you guys. I'm obsessed with this palette. This Zodiac palette right here, now I busted the mirror just barely like 20 minutes ago. It totally sucks. I think these palettes would work so well together, and you could pull some really pretty shades from here and play with these shimmer shades in this palette. The shimmer shades in this palette are very, very unique. So this palette alone is $18, but if you want both of them together, it's $32, which is not bad for 2 palettes with all those shades. Lux lipsticks are $7 a piece, and there's 2 of them in the collection, 2 shades. And then there's also the SuperNova eyeshadows that are the liquid eyeshadows, and these are also $7 a piece. SuperShock eyeshadows are $8 a piece. One color is more for like a deeper skin tone, and then one color is maybe for the medium. This is the first time I've used the SuperShock highlighters, so I have a lot to say about them for being a first-time user of them. So let's just move straight into me playing around with all of these products, trying them on, getting my fingers in them, and then later on I will give you guys my full final thoughts on everything that I test out here. So I will see you guys in a little bit. Let's get playing with this new collection from Colourpop. I gotta drink a Zip Fizz because, you guys, I have no energy. I'm like dying. Have you guys ever heard of Zip Fizz? They're like amazing. I don't like the taste of them because I don't like the artificial sugar taste. But if you need energy, they're amazing. Yeah, I'm completely exhausted. I'm doing so much free filming and staying up late and editing my videos, and I'm just, I need all the Zip Fizz I can get. Okay, so in this collection, there are 2 SuperShock highlighters, and there are 2 Lux lipsticks, 2 SuperNova eyeshadows, and the eyeshadow palette. I've never used the SuperShock highlighters from Colourpop, so I'm curious to see how these work. And I know that there are 2 shades here. One looks like it would be for more of a deeper skin tone. It's in the shade Fire. And then the other shade is called On the Cusp. They kind of have that wet, like, putty feeling. So I'm really excited to test these out. So I wanted to swatch them on my hands. This one right here is on the Cusp. And then this one right here, this more golden one, that one is called Fire. And let me just say, I definitely think Fire would be beautiful on like a deeper skin tone, or, you know, maybe if you're kind of out on this, if you're out in the sun and maybe you're just using maybe like a really good CC cream that doesn't have a lot of coverage, so you're not really wearing a lot of foundation, you could totally pop this on the cheek and kind of give you that bronze look. So I do like that, and I do like the feeling of these, you guys. Like, I've used a SuperShock eyeshadow, but I've never used the highlighters, so I'm kind of excited about that. I think those are really pretty. So I'm going to go ahead and just use my finger because they are that wet, cold type feeling, which I absolutely love. So I'm just going to go ahead and just start pouncing this right here on my eye. Just kind of tapping it in with my finger. And the consistency kind of feels like the one from Hourglass in the Vanish Stick highlighter. Ooh, that's pretty. Now the one in the Vanish Stick isn't cold like this, but it kind of has the exact same kind of grip and texture. But that's really pretty. I don't know if you guys prefer applying this with a brush, but for me, I'm all about the finger. And it blends out nice. gonna put some right here on the tip of my nose. Oh, that's such a pretty shade. And right here on my Cupid's bow. These lay really pretty over the skin, you guys. Really impressed with it, and I like this shade. Okay, let's move on to the eyeshadow palette. Now, this is what the actual box looks like. And for those of you guys that are into horoscopes, I am a Gemini. So this is what the actual palette looks like. It does have a nice mirror. I love the shade names underneath the shadows. I like the shades in Dream Street a little bit more than I do this one. If you guys are more in the warm tones, you're probably not gonna like this palette as much because this one is kind of a mixture, but it's mostly a cool tone palette. So if you guys gravitate towards the warmth, I don't know that you'll get a lot of use out of this palette. The first shade, I think I'm just gonna go in with the shade Taurus. It's kind of an ugly brown in the palette. I don't know what it's gonna look like on the eye. My mom is a Taurus. Is it Taurus or Taurus? Tomato, tomato, who knows? But I'm gonna throw this on the crease with this is my E28 brush from Morphe. And I'm just going to put this in my crease just to kind of build up some dimension. The shade's actually really pretty. It looks ugly in the palette. I'm going to be honest. It looks like an ugly shadow in the palette. But it actually looks really pretty on the eye. Now, if you guys are not familiar with Colourpop, you probably are. But if you're not, Colourpop shadows can be a little bit dusty, but they definitely blend out pretty on the eye. They kind of remind me of the ABH palettes. They're a little bit dusty, but man, once you get them to blend out, they are gorgeous and they blend out really pretty. So now I'm going to take my Morphe M504 and just kind of blend those lines out. I know this is going to be crazy, but I want to go into this shade right here, the top one, the Aries. I want to see what that's going to look like. I'm going to lightly put some on my brush, and I'm just going to pop it right here. I mean, it made a little bit of a difference. It kind of added a little bit of an orange hue to it, but I wouldn't say that it was like really orange. I need to stop playing with my hair. I was editing a video last night, and I was like, Tara, you have got to stop messing with your hair. You scream, which is already bad enough for your subscribers to listen because I am a very loud talker. I'm very sorry for that. So I scream, I'm too loud, I say and you guys way too much, and I play with my hair way too much. Oh, and I talk with my hands. I got all these things I gotta work on. I'm just so glad you guys are patient with me because I'm a hot flippin' mess. Okay, I'm gonna take my Morphe M506 brush, and I think I'm going to go back into that first shade, the Taurus, who knows. And I am going to try to deepen up the crease with that shade. Pretty dang good quality so far. Okay, so I am going to take that smaller brush, my M506, and I'm going to go into that shade Aries, and I'm really going to try to like pick up as much as I can on this brush. And I'm going to try to place this right here. It's almost a shadow that really you need more of a dense brush to apply because it really doesn't want to show much color and much definition when you're using a bigger brush, like a crease brush. So with a brush like this in this smaller size, it seems like it wants to go on a lot better than it was. So that's good. So I'm going to take this brush from Dose of Colors. This is in my Baked Browns palette. I'm going to go into that shade Taurus, and I'm just going to kind of start buffing this in down here and then kind of connecting it to what I got going on up top. I'm going to go into the shade Aries, and I'm going to put that right over top. So adding that orange shade to my lower lash line caused an obscene amount of fallout. I know you probably can't see it, but I have this like orange ring right here, and I'm gonna have to fix that when I get done with the eyeshadow look. As I am a Gemini, I do want to use the shade Gemini. So I am going to use my finger, and I'm going to put this on my lid. It's a really pretty gold shade. And that applied really good with a finger. and I didn't get any fallout using my finger, so I'm kind of impressed with the way that that applied, and it looks really, really pretty. So now I'm going to take this small Dose of Colors brush, and I'm going to go into the shade Virgo, and it's kind of a matte gray shade, and I'm going to place this right here in the middle and start kind of carving that out and blending this into my crease. Oh, she's pretty. That shade reminds me of this shade right here in the KKW Beauty Mario palette. It's called Loyalty. You guys, that shade looks just like it. I gotta swatch it and see. Oh my gosh, it is almost the exact same shade. The one from Colourpop is just a little bit darker. This is the one from KKW Beauty. This is one from Colourpop. Don't be afraid to use it over that brown because it's really, really pretty. Now that was the shade in the KKW Beauty palette that I didn't think I was gonna like. And then I used it and it became one of my favorite shades in the palette. So you just never know about shades, you guys. Like, you just never know what you're gonna like about a shade and what you're not. So I'm gonna take my M506, I'm gonna go back into the shade Taurus, and I'm just gonna pop this back over top to bring that color back to life after putting that dark gray shade over top. Now I wanna bring that orange back to life. So I'm gonna put the shade Aries back over top right here. When you're building up your dimension, when you add a dark shade, you will lose those transition shades. Okay, I'm gonna take this brush from the Dose of Colors Baked Browns palette. I'm gonna go into that shade Virgo, and I'm packing it on, and then I'm going to pack this right here on this outer corner. Okay, I'm gonna take this same brush, I'm gonna go into the shade Aries, and I am gonna focus this right here. With a small, more detailed brush, you can really, really define that crease. Okay, now I'm gonna take this end of it that looks haggard, this end of the brush, I'm gonna go into the shade Virgo, and I am going to start kind of buffing this in right here on my lash line. And I'm gonna go really close to my lash line right on top. And I'll probably use a brown eyeliner with this look to kind of finish it off. Okay, I want to add a little bit of Leo. Do you see how beautiful that shade is? This shade right here, it's a gorgeous, gorgeous shade. I want to add just a little bit of that over top of Gemini. I wanted to originally use that shade, but because I'm a Gemini, I decided, ooh, that made a big difference. Because that shade goes so pretty with Aries, because it kind of has an orange undertone to it. But because I wanted to use those shade Gemini, I decided to not use that shade. But over top, it's just as stunning. For my inner corner, there's really not a shade that I want to use for my inner corner. I'm going to use my favorite inner corner highlight that I have been using for a minute. This is from the KKW Beauty. This is her highlighter palette. And I love these shades for an inner corner highlight, especially these two. Oh my gosh. I don't really like it as a highlighter, so I don't recommend buying it just to have it as an inner corner highlight. I'm just using it so it doesn't go to waste. So I'm gonna use that top shade. I'm gonna pop this right here. It's gorgeous for eyeshadow. Add that to just to kind of highlight my brow bone just a little bit. I don't really like the SuperNova eyeshadows. I have several of them. I've really tried to work with them, but they don't last very long. They only last like 3 or 4 hours for me, and they start cracking. The key to these is making sure that it dries before you blink. So when you put it on, you just literally sit there and you wait for it to dry. You do not open your eye. Now, I'm used to the Stila formula, the Stila Glitters and Glows, and you can open your eye. You know, you just kind of fan it and you're good. They last for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. I've never really had that good of luck from the ones from Colourpop. I know they're only $7, so they're super duper affordable, but I just don't think they're the best quality. So I'm gonna go ahead, go off camera, finish up, and then I'll come back and we will go through all of the lippies and I will give you guys my final thoughts. So I will see you guys in a little bit. Okay, I'm back. I had to take off my shirt because I got makeup all over it. I gotta watch the clip back, but it looks like I had this like ring of makeup right here. Let's go ahead and play with the lippies. So we have two shades here from this collection. One is called Scorpio Moon. That one's kind of like a really pretty purple. And then this one is called What's Your Sign? Those are really, really pretty shades. I kind of think that What's Your Sign would probably be the best with this look, although I don't even know if that's going to work just because it does still kind of have like a purple undertone. That's a pretty shade. It doesn't really go with this look because it does kind of have that like purple undertone, and this is such like a bronzy look, but that is a really pretty lippy. I personally don't like the Lux lipsticks from Colourpop. I think they have, in the past, they've been just a tiny bit chalky, and I've not really liked the way they look on my lips, and I don't feel like they last very long. Let's go ahead and put on the other shade. That's a pretty shade, and it definitely would match the Scorpio and Sagittarius in this palette. Like, it does have that really pretty purple tone to it. I'm gonna use a nice like matte brown. Ooh, and it kind of stains your lips. Do you see that? I'm gonna use this lip liner from the KKW Beauty line. This is number 2, my favorite lip liner on the planet right now. But that turned my lips purple pink, you guys. It like stained it. So I'm gonna go ahead and put on What's Your Sign, because I wondered if maybe just using a brown toned lip liner, maybe that would bring it out a little bit more on the bronzy coppery side, but my lips are stained now. That just defeated the purpose. That helps the undertone. See how it kind of changed it? Okay, let's go ahead and go through everything I have here in the collection and give you guys my final thoughts. So the SuperShock Highlighters, I love this formula. I'm really, really glad that she included this in this collection just because it gave me a chance to try these SuperShock Highlighters. And I'm actually gonna order a few more shades, maybe in the lighter tones that I personally like. But I really like that shade on the Cusp. I don't think this would be very pretty on a lighter skin tone. And I kind of wish that they would have like made a SuperShock highlighter for a lighter skin tone. It's kind of the same thing that I experienced with the Dose of Colors I Love Sarah E collection. There was 2 highlighters in there. And those 2 highlighters I don't think would look pretty on a lighter skin tone. I think it favored the medium and deep. And that's kind of the same thing with this collection. I think they kind of left out the lighter skin tone in the highlighter. I think it would have been nice to have one more highlighter with a lighter skin tones. But I do think on the Cusp, you know, I guess it would have to be what you guys prefer. Let me show you what this one looks like against Amrezy. Okay, so this is Amrezy. This is on the Cusp, and this is Fire. So the Fire is that bronzy. This on the Cusp is a little bit on the pinky side, maybe a little bit rose pinky, and then the Amrezy is obviously just a really light gold champagne shade. So I wanted you guys to see that. For those of you guys that have the Amrezy highlighter, you can see what these highlighters look like next to it. I will say I think the formula is very similar to the Amrezy formula. So I'm really, really glad that I got a chance to try these highlighters because this is a nice formula of a highlighter. Let's move on to the SuperShock eyeshadows. I'm gonna go ahead and swatch them for you so you can see what these are. This shade is called Astrology, and that is a very unique shade. You guys, that is like a brick gold shade. Very, very bright. And then the rose gold shade is called Constellation. So I do like that rose gold pink shade. It kind of reminds me of this one from Stila. This is in the shade Rose Gold Retro. See the spark factor from the Stilas? You guys, the Stila nailed the formula on these liquid eyeshadows. I don't know, you can just see the vibrancy from that shade. And I think these are pretty, and they're dried now. For me, they're a pass just because I don't like the formula. Let's talk about the lippies. Now, like I said, I'm not a fan of the Lux lipsticks, and I can already see it starting to get a little bit chalky. When I first apply them, they're always really, really pretty, but as I keep wearing them and my lips kind of touch each other as I'm talking, the lipsticks start to get a little bit chalky. Like, I like more of a creamier lipstick, and for me, they've always been a pass. And again, these are really pretty shades, but they're a pass for me. The palette, you guys, it's not my favorite as far as the shades go. I do want to do a look using this blue because I think this blue is so pretty, and I really, really, really want to see how that blue wears. But dang, you guys, that blue is so pretty. So if you guys want to see me do a look using that blue, let me know in the comments down below. I do love the look I created with this palette. I like this palette. I think I like the Dream Street a little bit more just because these shades are not really my thing. But I think I'm going to use some shades from the Dream Street palette and maybe mix them. I don't see myself using this mustardy brown shade in the crease as like a transition shade to apply this blue. I feel like for the blue, I need a little bit different tones to apply that blue. That's just, again, personal preference. So I think I'll probably use some shades from the Dream Street. For me, I just don't think that mustardy type brown, dirty brown, will be pretty with this blue. Like this Note to Self, I think would be so pretty with it. I love this Note to Self, but see how much difference that makes? Just that warmer toned shadow for the transition is just, to me, better. So I think the shade is very unique and it's very, very pretty, but I don't like the shades in the palette to use with it. You know what I'm saying? So this is what the palette looks like swatched. This is called Aries. This is Taurus. This is Gemini. This is the Cancer. This is the Leo. This is the Virgo, the Libra, the Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. I think the Leo and the Pisces are probably the most unique shade in the palette. I really like this palette, but I don't feel like this is a palette that I can use all on its own. I feel like this is a type of palette where these are mixed, these are shades that I will use with other palettes, with other shades from other palettes, like different, you know, neutral tones from other palettes, and then just grab from these. I really want to try a look with this blue because I do think that blue is absolutely stunning. So I like this palette. I do. I like the Dream Street more, but I do like this palette. So for me, out of this collection, I think if I had to repurchase, I would probably only get the palette and the highlighter. I don't know if I'd get both highlighters just because I don't think that the other one really matches my skin. That is what I have for you guys today. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Thank you guys again for all the love and the support. Don't forget to comment down below, and when I get back from vacation, I will be commenting on all of your comments. Thank you guys again. I love you guys so much, and I hope you guys have a fantastic day filled with love, happiness, and joy. I love you guys so much. Bye!